So let's go over some of the three main physical principles that are going to be really important to keep in mind at all times. And so part of what I want you to do is to have an understanding of these principles and then keep them in the back of your mind at all times so that you can always ask yourself the question, as I'm doing this particular move, how is this move in relationship to these three principles? And the principles are fairly simple, but they can be life-changing. The first one is verticality. Essentially, the sense of the vertical going through the body. This means the line that goes through the crown of the head, through the body, through the perineum, and between your legs. If you're just standing here, well, it's basically how am I aligned. This is going to give us proper posture. So just thinking about that verticality gives us proper posture. And this is not the posture that you get from being whacked on the fingers by a nun. This is not even balancing books on your head. This is the posture of elongating the spine, lengthening the body so that the head is being lifted up. So sometimes in the classics, in the Tai Chi classics, they talk about the head is as if suspended by a string, which is essentially this idea of the verticality, which rises from this expansion of the entire body, expansion of the spine. The main thing you're trying to do is to prevent the head from sinking forward, right? So the head is now brought up and over the spine. So now the head is seated over your center of gravity. If the head is forward, you're constantly pulling yourself forward and you're slouching. So you want the head up, right? And now the weight of the head, which is one of the heaviest part of the body, is now centered over your center of gravity, centered over your feet. So your feet and your spine are now structurally taking the weight of the head. If you're leaning forward, you're tensing all the muscles in the neck and the back and all that, and so you're actually creating tension simply from bad posture. So you want to bring that up. You want to have that sense of elevation in the head, and it also allows for the shoulders to drop, right? Because it's the head going up. We're not stiffening the back. It's the head is lifted up, the shoulders can relax. So now we have that verticality, and you can feel it in your feet, because if your head is forward, you have to kind of clench with your toes to keep you from falling forward. Or if you're leaning back, right, if you're slouching backwards, then the weight is on your heels. So this should feel like you're bringing everything in, and now everything can relax. Everything is falling into the ground. You're not moving forward or back. So that's the verticality that we want. So again, it's a verticality that connects the crown of the head to the feet. It's a verticality that is an expansion of the body. It's an opening of the body, right? It's not tensing up, it's an opening of the body. As we do this, so speaking of shoulders, there is, so we'll talk about later energetically, this is an energy center, a dantian energy center, which is in the middle. But I'm going to talk about the physical center, which is essentially the idea that the sternum and the point that mirrors it on the back is an important center that connects to the arms. So we want to relax the shoulders and think of shifting the shoulder forward. So instead of having the shoulder back, we want the shoulder forward, which flattens the shoulder blade along the back. So this is a little more complicated to get into. Often people have a sense that you're hunching over. When I say you have to round the back, but the movement is not forward. It's not rounding the back forward. It's rounding back. It's rounding the shoulders. The shoulder joint is moving forward. And what that does is it opens up the space underneath the armpit, and it flattens the shoulder blade along the back, right? So rounding the back is here. Shoulders moving forward. Shoulders moving forward. There's an openness that is created, so now there's better blood flow underneath the armpit. But also it means that we're connecting the shoulder, this entire region, to the back muscles. So now the arm connected to the shoulder, and the shoulder is connected to the back. Before, if you can feel it, if the shoulder joint is a little back, there's no connection between the muscle groups that are controlling the shoulder and the arms and the muscle groups that are in the back. The minute you shift forward, you can feel there's an engagement of the back and the shoulder. So now the arm is actually being held up by the back muscles instead of the shoulder muscles. So the shoulder can actually relax, right? So this is where we can hold this position holding the arms. If you're here with the shoulders back, there's tension in the back, there's tension in the shoulders, because you're tensioning all of this in order to hold the arms up. But if you shift forward, then all of that can relax. Now it's the back holding up the arms. And there's space underneath the armpit. That's very important, right? Good blood flow, good energy flow, by basically sliding the shoulder blades flat and forward. So the whole shoulders are sliding forward. They also sometimes call it sinking in the chest, talking about basically it's like the sternum is moving backwards, right? Backwards, because you're creating this concave, right? This circle here. And now you've created an arch with your back, with the arms being the legs of that arch, right? So the midpoint of the back becomes the center of this curve. So the hand is connected through the arm, through the shoulder, to the back. So now when you're pushing, or when you're engaging the arms, you're actually engaging that upper back. Everything is here. Okay. Thirdly, and most importantly, it's tucking in the hips. We're going to tuck in the hips, and all that means is that the tailbone is going to drop. Right? The tailbone drops. We're going to take the curve of the lower back, and we're going to straighten it. So this is a tuck. Now the lower back is straighter. In order to do this, notice the knees bend slightly. So the knees are bent, hips tuck slightly in. We don't want to create tension, so this is not about clenching the butt, right? We're relaxing the butt. All these muscles are relaxed. We're letting the tailbone drop. Letting the tailbone drop. And the way it should feel is a release of tension in the lower back, and now you should feel that the weight is in the thigh muscles, right? So whereas before here was tension in the lower back, you drop the tailbone, the tension is now in the thigh muscles, so the thigh muscles are holding you up. This allows you to actually relax this entire section, but also what it does is it connects the legs and the leg muscles through the hip bones to the lower back. The lower back is connected through the spine to the upper back. The upper back is connected through we were talking about before, this rounding of the back to the hands. So now we're creating this connection, the hands through here to the ground, the head through the vertical into the ground. So now everything is connected through these curves, because one of the things also that we want to take a look at is that not only are you tucking in the hips, but you're also rounding the hips. And by rounding, I mean you're opening up the joints of the hips to create a curve along the hip joint. So you don't want to feel like you're a triangle, you want to feel like you're an arc, right? It's like flying buttress in medieval cathedrals, or all of these arches. That's what you want to feel. So there's this feeling of extension to the outside, tucking in, rounding the back, elevating up. Right? That's going to be our basic posture. This is where you feel, and you can sit here for a while, and you're being upheld by the thigh muscles. This is where you're going to start actually developing strong leg muscles, because you're going to have to, because this position is held up by the legs. What it means is that you can relax the front of the body. That's the whole point here, is that all of this can be relaxed. So now we can breathe in nice and deep, right? Nice deep breath into the belly, meaning as I inhale, belly goes out. As I exhale, belly goes in. This is just the way a baby breathes. So it's a nice relaxed breath. And we can do that because we're in this position with the hips tucked, and the thighs are doing the work instead of the belly doing the work of holding you up, right? We can be here and we can just relax the shoulders, relax the belly. And now we can breathe nice and deep. Come in. And the breath is relaxed, the breath is deep, the breath is slow. This, by the way, is a perfect example of how the body mechanics then bleed into the breathing, and the breathing is their connection to the energy work, and on top of that, to the mind, because as you breathe in and out, you bring your mind to the experience of breathing, just feeling how the air is flowing through the nose into the lungs, how the belly's is going out. As the belly goes out, the diaphragm drops, so it gives more room for the lungs. So as you breathe in, the experience of breath is deeper. As you exhale, you can just let the air out so it's nice and soft. Now you're meditating. So simply from doing these physical actions, we've come into meditation. And this right here, this basic posture, just focusing on the breath, you can just hold that position for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Some people do it for half an hour or 45 minutes. This is energy work. So here, we put all of these elements together, plus the breath. The mind is on the breath. Just standing here, energy is being developed. Right, so now we're doing energy work. This is one of the most standard, basic Qigong position, when Qigong is energy exercises. Right? And so here, feet are parallel, arms are up, palms down, shoulders are relaxed, back is rounded, hips are tucked. Belly is moving as you breathe in and out, and just focus on the breath. This is the basic posture. It has within it all the elements that we're going to keep going back to: verticality, rounded back, tucked in hips. We're always going to think of those three elements as we do the form. Okay, so those are worth putting pin in, really coming back and looking at this and understanding, working out how it feels to move those shoulders, how you can drop the hips, the tailbone essentially, instead of pointing out, drops and now it's pointing straight down, and how you can relax the muscles, right? So that even in this position of tucked in hips, you can relax as many muscles as possible so that only the ones that are strictly necessary are being tensed. Everything else can be relaxed, right? So if you just do that and hold that position, just do a body scan, see if you can relax muscles that are engaged that don't need to be engaged. Right? And just breathe nice and deep, nice and slow. Right. If you can just do that for a while, just to get the body to feel how that feels, you're going to be 90% to the beginning of the form. Okay?